Hey guys, what's up? So Kel and I forgot to go over the challenge in the podcast before we dove in. So I just wanted to come in here and tell you and remind you that we are throwing a summer challenge, and it starts July 1st. And signups are ending very soon. Things are starting soon, so you don't want to miss out. I'll put the link to the sign up in the description, whether this is Spotify or YouTube. It's also on our Instagram page. Go there, sign up. The entry fee is $20, but that $20 just goes to the cash prize to the winner. So it's a point system. Whoever has the most points at the end of this competition also takes home the cash prize. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And now we'll get into the podcast.
All right. Welcome to the lab. This is episode 14, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah, 14.
14. All right. So we've moved into the mid-teens. Here again, we're Kel and Cody, and we have special guest Elliot Capella, right? That's how you say it?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Elliot is a power lifter, and we brought him on to balance out our meatheads. So, so how you doing today, guys?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you busy with?
Oh my God, just life. Like today I worked like a full work day, and then I had to run like 1,000 errands, and then I'm helping my friend walk their dog because they hurt their leg, and I had to walk my own dog, and now I have this. So it's just one of those days where you wake up and it's literally one thing after the next, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of exhausting.
yeah, it can be, but it can also be really productive. So it's good
true.
to knock a lot of things out. So
True. Well, thanks
How
for making time for this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, of course.
How you doing, Cody?
Good. Yeah, just usual waiting for things. waiting for treatment for injuries.
Cody has injured his whole body. And is having an impossible time finding doctors who will help him.
Oh man, it's hard to injure your whole body.
They're like, we just don't know what to do for you. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually my knee, and it's been an issue forever. But getting like any sort of treatment, I feel like for anything, it just takes forever. And it's been literally like the hardest journey I've ever experienced, like even more so than anything trans related. Like I feel like I could get top surgery again before I could get my knee treated. It's that bad. I don't know.
Yeah, we could do like a whole series of podcast episodes on how terrible our healthcare system is. So
yeah, legit.
yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, my partner and I just went through that because she's going through some medical issues herself, and they were like, to us, like, wow, we need to get these treated immediately. But like, you know, to the doctor that's going to treat it, it's okay, we'll see you in like 6 months is my next opening. And it's like, really, we're going to have to just like wait for 6 months to get this treated. It's pretty wild.
Crazy.
It's so crazy.
Okay.
I just watched a TikTok the other day that was talking about how this woman had hurt her foot in Barcelona, and she like banked out 12 hours in her vacation to get it fixed. And she said she was in and out in 2 hours, no cost, as a foreigner. And I'm like, damn, I'm telling you, Cody, I think you should just make a run from Mexico.
I think that's probably a good option. I mean, no guarantees they'll fix it, but at least they'll try.
They'll try.
For whatever amount of pesos, I don't know.
Hell, you'll have more probably, and if it doesn't work, you'll still make it back in time for your appointment, even if you walk there.
True. I mean, maybe I could speed up the process because I'll be like, it's definitely not working anymore.
Soon you just won't have a leg, and then you'll be able to get a new cool like titanium one or something.
Yeah, that would be great at this point. But yeah, so anyway, like, wait, Cal, did you tell us how your week was going?
My week is pretty boring, to be honest. It was Pride here in Columbus this past weekend, so that was crazy busy. I was in the parade. We actually led the parade, which was pretty dope. I was part of a photography project here, and we were the grand marshals, so that was pretty dope.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. I'd never been in the Pride Parade, and it's like 8 hours long here in Columbus. I don't know why, but
What?
the parade is so long because like it's like every company has now decided to do rainbow marketing and
Yeah.
like have a float. And so I literally walked the whole parade and went to the bathroom and back and found Maddie and watched the rest of the parade.
That's
And
awesome though.
we were there for 2 hours after I got back.
That's cool though. You get to like lead the parade. I want to be you when I grow up.
It was so cool. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty dope. Yeah, I mean, it was like, I think there was like 14 of us like that were in the project, but it was really cool. It's called Transvisibility. A wonderful photographer who's in Columbus called Emma Parker did it through our Stonewall here. It was really, really dope. And she donated all of her time. It was hanging in the library and like our public library, the main branch. It was pretty dope. I don't know. It was really cool.
That's so sick. Really cool.
Yeah, it was dope. Cool. So we'll go ahead and pivot. So we are here talking about powerlifting. So we've always given like talked about lifestyle fitness. We've talked about bodybuilding. So we're just going to try to round out our strength sports and get a power lifter on here. So Elliot, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So I am a power lifter, as we've just mentioned. I compete in the 67.5 kilo class, which is about 148 pounds. I compete with USPA. So there are a bunch of feds, and I compete with USPA in particular. I've been doing that for like 3.5 years. I'm also a board member of Richmond Strong, which is a local organization that puts on powerlifting meets for like LGBTQIA humans, and it has like accessible resources to allow humans of like disparate backgrounds to participate in sport. So we have like a body positive gym. It's the first like queer owned gym in Richmond. We started that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's super sick, dude. So we do a bunch of like mental health events. We do a lot of powerlifting meets. We do other stuff too. We branch out into like art, and they do like sound therapy and like other different things at our gym and stuff like that. So yeah, those are kind of the two big things that I do in terms of powerlifting.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What got you into powerlifting? Like what was that, just something that you're always interested in? And
not really. I started medically transitioning almost 4 years ago. And at the time I'm like 5'3". I'm pretty short. I'm a short dude. But I was like 100
we
pounds.
all are.
Yeah, I know, right? Short king. I was like just over 100 pounds. So I was quite small. And I was just feeling really dysphoric about everything about my body when I first started transitioning, as like many of us do, right? And I wanted changes to happen faster, and I was just feeling super frustrated. And I was following a lot of powerlifters because I really liked their physique. And I was like, you know what? If I like their physique, I should do their sport, and maybe that will like speed things along.
Yeah.
And I'm super pleased. Like, I mean, like you guys have talked in previous podcasts about how it takes a long time, you know, to see the results. I've been doing this for 3.5 years, and it took that long to get from like 100, just over 100 pounds to like 150 pounds and like get the physique I have now. You know, it's been 3.5 years to do that, but I'm super pleased, you know, even just within the first year that, you know, I started T and also started powerlifting. I mean, I saw dramatic results. It's just, it was what I wanted. Like, I was mainly focused on like the physique changes, but once I got into it, it was like the mathematical, like I'm a very logical guy. And whenever you go to like deadlift, like just any sort of weight, it's always the same like barbell. It's always the same weights. You can, you know, get fractional plates and just like micro load on, you know, you can just keep progressing in that way. And it's very like black and white, whether you're progressing or not. Either the numbers are going up or they're not. And that to me is like, oh, I love that. I fucking love that. Like I can see progress very easily. I can make these like very achievable goals, listen to my coach, and then achieve these goals and see myself working towards these goals as the weights get higher, right? And so I got like addicted to that, like, oh, I can set this goal and then achieve that goal, and then I can get even stronger. And that's when I got really excited about actually the actual powerlifting, and not just like, I like the way that guy looks. And that's when I started getting like really into, okay, I want to compete. I want to get super strong and see how much I can actually lift.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's really impressive to get. Also, like 50 pounds in 3 years is a lot. That's awesome, dude.
Well,
that's so impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because like, I don't know if this happened to you guys, but I retained a fuck ton of water when I started transitioning. Oh, yeah. So like I gained like 35 pounds in like the first 3 months that I was and then I was just like static for like 3 years. I was just like 135 pounds for like 3 years. And as that like water weight transitioned to like muscle and other things, you know, and then finally started like ticking up again. But it was just like just feeling really bloated and whatever in the first like 3 months.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The water weight is real.
The water weight, and then the recomp happens, and I think that's what everybody thinks is going to happen right away. And it's like, nah, you're putting.
They're like, I'm getting fat. What's happening? I'm like, no, it's just water. Like it's all in your face and shit, and you're just like, oh, sorry. Like it goes away.
Yeah.
So embarrassing. Yep. Yeah, I can remember like right when it like started. It was like about month 1 or 2. It like you said, it went right to my face. And I was training with like a guy at the gym, like a cis guy at the gym at the time. And I remember him making a comment about how bloated my face was. And I was like, I'm never going in public ever again. I'm going to hide in a closet until I can come out in like 2 years with a full beard. And like no one's seeing my like mid transition anymore. It was pretty horrific.
Well, that's like those awkward teenage stages.
Yeah.
I think I did it the best way, like not the best way. That sounds, but like, so I came out because I live in Columbus, Ohio. And so I came out in Columbus and immediately like 2 months later moved to Texas. And then I came back. Well, it was for work. It was a long story, but it was for work. I got transferred to Texas and I came back a year and some change later. And I was like just a guy then. I'm like, that was perfect. No one saw me.
That's great.
That's the way to do it, man.
Instagram wasn't huge. I'm like, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I pulled kind of a sneaky move like that too. I started transitioning in St. Louis. And then at about like 8 months, like right when I kind of almost started passing, I like left and came to Richmond, which is like super queer, and then was never misgendered again. It was amazing. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Clutch move.
Just disappear and come back as a different person.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's really so you seemed like that you got into the powerlifting community like at the same time you kind of transitioned. Did you find a good, like, was it really, I know in Richmond you said it's really queer friendly and all that, but is powerlifting as a community like kind of cool? Because like there's some mixed what do I want to say, community at in bodybuilding. Like it's not very friendly. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the most friendly sport to pick.
It's definitely a mixed bag. So I was lucky that one of my coworkers actually recommended the gym that I started powerlifting with, and I still have that same coach today. She just coaches me remotely. So like obviously that was a positive experience. Like they didn't have men and women's locker rooms or anything like that. They just had like a bathroom. It was just like a super small gym. They were very like, we don't care, you know, who you are or whatever. We're just here to train and get strong. And my coach in particular has been like super like pro LGBTQIA rights and pro trans. And so it's just, and for me, that was a really positive experience. But I definitely interacted with powerlifters who do not have those views at all and are very, you know, transphobic, homophobic, you know, that sort of thing. So it's definitely a mixed bag. And I mentioned the federations earlier. It really, like the federations, certain federations tend to hold those more conservative views, and people who subscribe to those more conservative views than others. Like I compete with USPA, and in their rule book, like we can go into this if you're interested, but you know, they claim to not be transphobic or have, you know, in their rule book, they're like, we treat our trans people just like any other like any cis person, basically. It's not quite right. And we can talk about that if you're curious, but they don't actively discriminate, or they don't think they're actively discriminating against transhumans. Whereas like the US APL, which is one of the other really well-known feds, they just created an other category, and they have every other person compete against each other. So like you have trans women competing with trans men, competing with non-binary people. They just like were like, we don't know what to do with you, so you're just all going to go in the other category. You freaks can like fight it out. Is basically
Wow,
like
that's really crazy.
it's super fucked. I have no idea how that's like allowed. One of my friends is a lawyer that's actually like trying to bring litigation against US APL in particular. But you know, she's super smart and capable, but I don't know what, you know, legal holding these private federations have. I mean, it's not like a public utility,
right?
Or something like that, you know. So I don't know, but yeah, like USAPL in particular, like for example, I have never competed with them or really interacted with that federation very much, but I have, like, they're doing a USAPL meet here in Richmond next month. And like whenever there's meets here, I'm always volunteering and helping out. And so one of my friends was looking for like spotters and loaders, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And they had me do like this training video for it. And in the video, they were talking about God and like talking about all this stuff, which like nothing against religion or anything like that, but is like, I'm not sure a training video is a good place to be talking about God. We
so
should be
random.
talking about, I know, right?
Straight,
but like,
that the Lord is with you, you know.
but like it's like that kind of person, in my experience, is like the kind of person that would also, you know, be quick to tell me, you know, I need to leave because I'm, you know, sinning or whatever it is, you know. Again, nothing against religion. Like religion is amazing and can be used in awesome ways and, you know, whatever. But in my experience, conservative organizations like that, you know, on the one hand will be like, you know, say stuff like that. And then on the other be like, our trans powerlifters go in the freak category, go fight it out. We don't give a shit. We just care about the big, you know, men and women's categories, and you others will just like throw you over there so you can play separate from us, you know? It's really fucked, but it is what it is, I guess.
Is one of the federations like more popular or like easier to find meets and stuff, or is like, are they kind of like equal?
They're both huge. So there's not just two federations.
Oh, there's sorry, I'm very ignorant when it comes to
no, it's cool. There are tons and tons of federations, more than I can even count.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I have a friend that does like USPC meets here. I mean, like every acronym that you can make with US and powerlifting, and then add some other letters, it probably exists. But so there's this big world powerlifting federation called the IPF, the International Powerlifting Federation. And so some of these organizations like mine, USPA, ladder up to IPF. And IPF is like the gold standard for like powerlifting federations in the world. But USAPL actually just recently got kicked out of IPF. I think it was ultimately over disputes with drug testing. So now they're kind of like separate and doing their own thing. But a lot of these feds like roll up to that one, and that's kind of like the big one that like you go worlds with and that sort of thing. But there's tons, and they all have like different rules. They all treat trans humans differently. So it depends on the organization. And the bigger feds like mine, USPA, you can find meets in any state. If you just Google USPA meets, they have meets all year round in every state. Some of the smaller ones might just have local meets, you know, it really depends. It's like on a fed basis.
Right. Yeah. Cause I think like bodybuilding, like we have, like you can go to a million shows, but there's pretty much a pro organization and then the NPC.
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially. So it's like, that's what you got. And, and they don't, it's not like
natural. And then, we just have like natural organizations. There's a few different natural organizations, but then there's like the NPC, and it's not that it's like, I don't know, it's not natural. It's just not tested. So go for it. But that's, there's not as many, I feel like, with bodybuilding.
And I feel like the bodybuilding hasn't really made, because drugs play such a big role. Like they haven't really made any kind of like sweeping judgments on like trans stuff really, other than like you have to compete, you can't compete naturally as a trans person.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing really.
That's
right,
super
Cody?
similar.
Like, essentially.
Sorry, what?
Isn't that's right?
Yeah.
That's like the only like rule. Yeah.
Okay, so that's similar to USPA too. They basically are like, if you're taking testosterone exogenously, you have to compete untested, right?
Yeah.
So then you have a situation where trans men are competing against cisgendered men on steroids.
Yes.
Right. So like, how fair is that?
Yeah, it's
Right.
not. It's not.
It's
It's definitely it's hard, especially if like you want to be serious about something. So then you wonder like, well, what are my options? Either don't compete, or do you like take it to the next level because you're trying to get on their level if you ever want to be competitive. So it's very much so they put you in a very weird pickle.
yeah, absolutely.
But so when do you have do you have another meet planned, or are you in like a growing phase? Or
Yeah, so I typically try to do 2 a year.
Mhm.
My gym, the one that, well, it's not mine, but my coach is based out of in St. Louis. I go back there for their home meet every year. So that's in
Oh, dope.
January. I'm doing, you guys probably wouldn't know him. I don't know why you would, but any chance you guys know Travis Rogers?
No.
Yeah, he's super sick. You guys should check him out on Instagram. He's like super pro queer. Him and his wife Jessica are like the raddest people, and they're putting on a USPA meet in October in their gym in Maryland. So that's going to be my next meet. I think it's mid-October is going to be my next meet. Yeah,
very cool.
Awesome.
Do you have a favorite lift?
Oh, deadlift by
Deadlift?
far. Yeah, I'm basically
Nice.
a deadlift specialist for no reason at all.
Okay.
Most deadlift specialists have like monkey arms so that, they lock out like at knee height or like shin height, like,
yeah.
So I'm locking out like by my waist, but like, I just love the deadlift. It's always been my best lift.
Awesome.
And, yeah, it's super fun.
Awesome. So I'm curious though, what is getting ready for a meet entail? Because I know what it's like getting ready for a bodybuilding show, but as far as powerlifting, I know it's a whole new type of getting ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll typically start prep like 6 weeks to 8 weeks out. Maybe even as short as 4 weeks if I'm already like in pretty good shape. And it's typically during that cycle, that like mesocycle, I'll start with some heavy singles, but they're not actually super heavy, and then do some like back off sets for the big 3 lifts. So in a powerlifting competition, you do the squat, bench, and deadlift in that order. You have 3 attempts at each lift, and you'll do those over the course of like 8 hours. They'll do everybody's squats first, and then everybody's bench, and then everybody's deadlifts. So what you're prepping for is to squat 3 times as heavy as you can, bench 3 times as heavy as you can, and deadlift 3 times as heavy as you can within an 8-hour period, essentially. So you start by doing heavy singles. So you'll start with like, are you guys familiar with like RPE, RIR, like that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Cool. So for your listeners who maybe aren't familiar with it, RIR stands for like reps in reserve. So like if I do a set at RIR 1, that means at the end of that set, I could have done 1 rep. If I do like RIR 3, at the end of that set, I had 3 reps left in the tank. So RPE is kind of the reverse of that. If I do like RPE 7, 10 minus 7 is 3. That means at the end of whatever set I did, I had 3 reps left in the tank. Did I kind of explain that okay?
Yes.
Okay,
That's good to me.
So you'll start your mesocycle doing like low RPE work. So like maybe a single at 6 or a single at 7, and then do some back off sets of like 3 or 2. And then your accessories are lower rep. So you're sticking to like sets of 4, 5, 6, that sort of thing. Whereas in the off season, like I am now, my, working sets are like 3s and 4s. And then my accessories are a little higher. They're like 3s, 6s, 7s, maybe even some 8s, that sort of thing. So we're starting to bring the weight up and the volume down. And then as you move through the mesocycle, the RPE is going to go up. So the intensity is going to go up. and the volume may go down towards the end, but we're really towards the end of the mesocycle, you should be building some serious fatigue. So by the end of like a week or two out from my meet, I usually feel like absolute ass, like beaten into the ground. I feel shitty. I don't feel like I could PR or whatever. And then we do a deload. And during that time, you like build fatigue, and then you deload, you come back, your body builds yourself back stronger than you were. And then ideally by meet day, you're feeling like $1,000 and ready to like nail it. And then you just hit your singles and you're good to go.
Nice.
And then, but the one thing about, so I did Olympic weightlifting briefly.
Oh, okay.
So, and it runs similarly, kind of different lifts. But I was always I was always curious about, because I hated making weight. When I was doing it, I never cared about it because I wasn't very competitive. But like, I did have to do the spit thing once because I needed to lose like a little bit. So what did your food look like, or like your nutrition? Like, are you on a meal plan? Did your coach let you eat whatever you want, or does it change throughout the seasons?
Great question. So my weight typically fluctuates throughout the year. So I typically shoot for a meet in September or October. And then, as I mentioned, I do that meet every year in January with my coach. So the time between September, October, January is like 3 months, maybe 4 months tops.
Yeah.
So basically during that time, I do prep, compete, do like a month of like chill time, and then prep again, and then meet. So there's not a lot of like building happening there. So after January, I typically go into a hypertrophy phase of training. So my calories go up. All of my like nutrients are prescribed with macros. So my coach prescribes me macros, but my calories go up, my macros go up after that January meet. I typically shoot to try to get to about 150, 155 pounds, depending on how light I am when I compete in January. And I'll try to maintain that as long as I can. I say that because like right now I'm 142 pounds, which is super low for where I should be. I think I'm like 3 or 4 months out for my next meet. And I should be like 150, right? Ideally, because I compete at 148. So like ideally I'd be like a little bit more than that while I train. So I can train heavy, lift heavy weights, cut down to the weight I need to compete at, and then compete light, right? But I am like the textbook hard gainer, and I will claw my way up to like 150, 155 and like cruise on that as long as I fucking can. Inevitably, my weight will just slowly start to tick down, no matter I'm just constantly stuffing my face. I will drink cups of heavy whipping cream. Like gross. Like that's how desperate I get. And it will still just like go back down. So
that's crazy.
That's typically what I do. I get after my January meet, I get up to as much as I can, cruise on that as long as I can. And inevitably by the time I have my September or October meet, I'm already making weight. Like now I'm way ahead of time, and I'm actually trying to get back up. So
nice. Cool. What is like your PR for bench and deadlift and weight squat? Is that right?
Yeah. Deadlift. Yeah. So right now, my last meet, I hit 320 for the squat, 320 pounds, 226 for bench, and 463 for deadlift. Dang. And I think I weighed in at 143. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's heavy metal, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks,
heck
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a terrible deadlifter.
Oh, really?
Same I mean, it sounds like I need to go out to Richmond.
Right.
Yeah, I have so many lower back issues, and I know that like if you do your technique right, you shouldn't have lower back issues, but I'm just so scared, which is the horrible way to do it. Like I know like lifting scared is like the worst thing you can do, especially with deadlift. So
we both did CrossFit before we did bodybuilding. We both hurt our backs that way. So we're both lifting scared with deadlifts at this point.
A good way to hurt your back.
Yeah, but bench and squat, man, I do like those things. I just recently got a belt squat machine thing.
Sick.
So
yeah, those
I
things
love
are
that
cool.
thing. Yeah, I used to work out at a gym with that Joe Sullivan ran. Do you know?
Yeah.
And he was in Columbus for a little while, and I used to work out in his gym, and it was dope. That was the first time I ever saw a belt squat machine. I'm like, this is so cool.
Hasn't it rad? Do you find that you get like chafage on the inside of your thighs though?
I don't normally. Usually the worst part that I have is like trying to get into it. Like I feel like there's such a pain in the ass to get into.
Yeah.
Like hike the belt up to the right spot, and but that's usually the only issue I have. It's like the only time I can ever feel squats in just my legs. So
yeah. The belt squat's really cool because it totally changes like the direction that the force is applied on your back, right? Which like every other powerlifting lift is like compressing the spine, right? Because you have weight above you, or at least you're attempting to have weight like up.
You're trying,
right? Yeah, but like the belt squat is pulling you down, and that feels really good.
Right. Yeah. Do you do like a lot of accessory work? Because I know I think a lot of people just think powerlifters are only hitting those 3 movements like ever. I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I do.
A lot of accessory stuff.
I would say so. I typically spend about 2 hours in the gym when I'm like I have a session, and I would say the first hour is like the big 3, so squat, bench, deadlift. Right now it's actually the big 4. I'm squat, bench, deadlift, and overhead pressing. And then the last hour is usually accessories. They could be a lot faster, but I'm super lazy, so I'm sure I could squeeze those into like 30 minutes, but I'm just like on my phone and like, doing whatever.
Yeah, but that's the nice thing about like powerlifting, because it's all about the where like when I was doing Olympic weightlifting, like it was all about the like getting that momentum back, and as opposed to like hurrying up like bodybuilders do.
Yeah, it's a very chill sport, which is I really enjoy it. It's like easy, like it's no rush. You're enjoying your stay at the gym, your 2-hour phone session. Do like a heavy pull, get out of there, eat tons of food.
Yeah. Did you play sports growing up, or were you into lifting growing up, or?
Yeah, I've always been super into sports. My parents weren't really into me. I really wanted to play like football. I wanted to wrestle. I really wanted to I just wanted to play like the aggressive dude sports. And my parents were like, no, you're like super small and like you're going to break yourself. And so I always played sports, but it was never like the sports I really wanted to play.
Yeah.
And then once I was like, okay, I'm going to do this with my life. I'm going to come out, as a man and start living my life as a man. I got like into lifting, and I was like, this is the shit. Like, I can't believe I did this before. This is amazing. So I was doing kind of like bodybuilding stuff before I got into powerlifting, but like very half-assed. Like I definitely am someone who needs a coach, because I will do too much and I won't make any progress. So I definitely just like dug myself into like extreme fatigue and just sucked for like
we've all been there.
Yeah, I was about to say I've done that.
And then had my coach like dig me out, and now keeps me on track. But I've always been into sports. I did some martial arts like basketball. I did triathlons in college. I was on the cycling team in college. Like was an avid runner for a while. Before powerlifting and bodybuilding, I was really into climbing. I got super sick of doing endurance stuff and just like being on a bike for hours and hours and hours. And I was like, I'm going to do the complete opposite. I'm going to like climb one boulder and wait 10 minutes, and then climb another boulder and wait like half an hour. And so that's what I did. And it was amazing. It was great.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. You're like powerlifting while rock climbing, because you're just given that rest time, just like a powerlifter.
Exactly. Yeah, they translate really well into each other, actually. Like the core strength with like climbing, right? And like the back strength, like they work pretty well. And then go ahead.
No, I was like, your hamstrings like trying to stick to the wall. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say too. Yeah, it's like it's a full body workout. They translate super well to each other.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good idea. I'm gonna recommend that when clients are like, "How do I work on my core strength?" I'm like, "Go climb something."
Yeah, my girlfriend does rugby and rock climbs, so that's what
Okay.
so they fit pretty well together too. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. So Cody and I both are coaches. What is like how do you stay positive when you're going through like tough things, like trying to make goals? Because I'm sure like off seasons are long, and you always hit those like I don't feel like I'm doing shit kind of thing. So how do you stay positive and kind of keep grinding it out?
Yeah, I mean that's really challenging. So from a larger perspective, like just the waiting, like right now I have these goals in mind for what I want to hit in October. It's good I have goals, and I remind myself like it's good you have these goals, but right now, like 4 months out, I can't get too like focused and like fixate on them too much, because it will completely take everything. Like I can sit here and just focus on them for like hours and hours and hours and just like take away from my life. So when I start like getting really fixated on a goal or something, I try to remind myself, like, I trust my coach and I'm just going to do what she says and focus on going into the gym and doing whatever she prescribes me to the best of my ability, and then get out of there and recover. And just trust that process. Like it's good to have goals, but really focus on like the day-to-day thing, because if you're too fixated on the goals, you're going to totally lose all the journey. Right. Like, and that's the majority of it. Like I'm going to lift a PR for like 7 seconds. It's the 1,000 hours of training leading up to that PR that I'm going to have to live through to get to it. So I might as well like enjoy it. So that's one thing. When I like miss a PR, that's super hard, because let's say I have like the first time I wanted to hit a 3 times body weight deadlift, which was 435 at the time. I worked 6 months to attempt to pull 435 and I missed it the first time. And it was because of a stupid fucking error. I pull mixed grip. So I have my dominant hand overhand, my non-dominant hand underhand, and I used to pull hook grip. And so while I was training hook grip, and then I was like, I'm going to go back to mixed grip. And so I attempted this pull with a mixed grip, but I flipped it. I had my dominant hand underhand and my non-dominant hand overhand. And so my non-dominant hand was weaker and in a weaker position, and the bar just slipped out. And I had waited 6 months to pull that thing, and then it fell out of my hands while I attempted it. And it was a max effort pull. Like it was so close to the lockout. And I think if I had gotten that right, I would have like nailed it. But once you attempt that much effort, like I can't try it again. It's just not going to happen, and I'm going to have to wait another however many months to attempt it. So that was really, really hard, especially because for me, like competition, PRing, all that stuff is more of a mental game for me than it is a physical game. And so when I miss a lift, it's like, oh shit, I missed it. Like, what if I miss it again? What if I work another 4 months and miss it again? And then I'm like fixated on that. And that again, I go back to, okay, I trust my coach. I'm going to tell her what's happening, and I'm just going to trust whatever she prescribes me. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And I'm just going to go into the gym every day, do exactly what she says to the best of my ability, eat whatever she tells me to the best of my ability, and then just recover to the best of my ability. And that's all I can do. And then I try to turn my brain off when I actually go to PR or to a meet. Because like I said, I can get to like overthink things, and like when I messed up my grip, it was because I was overthinking it. What I really need to do is have like a cue or two, practice. When I practice, I'll pretend I'm like on the stage, everyone's watching me. I'll practice like blanking my mind out, going through my 1 or 2 cues and like doing my lift. And then when it actually comes time to execute, turn the brain off, focus on those 1 or 2 cues and do it. And I mean, it's not perfect, like it happens. Yeah. And then there's another type of like dealing with like non-ideal situations that I have to deal with sometimes. And that's like, so I was sick like 3 months ago, I think it was at this point. And that's actually how I lost a lot of weight. I had just finished a bulk. It had gone amazing. I was like 153, which for me is a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And I was feeling great, feeling super strong. My lifts were like really solid. And I got this horrendous sinus infection and it knocked me out for like a month. And my lifts just tanked. I felt like ass. My recovery was terrible. I was having a hard time eating anything. And I lost like almost 10 pounds and I was super frustrated. It just felt like such a regression because even though I knew logically I was sick, the numbers on the paper were so much lower than they usually were. And my effort was so high. And that was so, like it deterred me from wanting to go to the gym because I wasn't PRing. I wasn't feeling strong. I wasn't feeling good. That's probably the hardest of all of them, I think, because it was such a prolonged period of time that I had to deal with like my performance regression, like keep regressing. And then I had to deal with like coming back and trying to gain weight and trying to build my numbers back up. And that took like, I think right about now, knock on wood, is about when I'm finally back to where I was before I was sick. But it was like a month of sickness and then 2 months of coming back. So that was like really hard to deal with. But when I get super frustrated with myself in a situation like that, I remind myself, okay, I don't have control over whether or not I'm sick. What are the things I do have agency over? I have agency over going to the gym. I have agency over my diet. I have agency over some stress factors in my life. I have agency over when I prepare to go to bed and, you know, getting ready for bed and doing that sort of thing. And that's all I can do. And so I'm just going to do those things to the best of my ability and trust that, you know, it's going to come out positively for me in the end. And luckily all my training is RPE based. So when shit felt awful, I just lowered the weight till I was hitting, you know, RPE 8 that day or whatever it was. So I made sure I had 2 reps in the tank, even if that meant I had a very humbling, you know, number on the bar that I was squatting.
Yeah.
And so that's just, you know, what I did just day in and day out.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think that's something that really translates to basically any kind of fitness endeavor, to be honest. Like, and I know Cody and I have talked about it a lot, like that sense of control that we love about the sport. And like, and it sounds like powerlifting similar is like the trans person's like, yes, let me gain that control back.
Yep. Yes. Have you had to deal with any injuries? Because I feel like it's pretty similar mindset wise of having to really change perspective and focus and like focus on the things that you can control. And yeah, they're just awful. So yeah, have you had to deal with that?
Yeah. So I luckily, knock on wood, haven't had any like catastrophic injuries. But I do struggle with some biceps tendonitis at times. And that's usually caused by low bar back squatting. A lot of people don't think that, you know, the low bar back squat would hurt your like elbows or bicep tendons, but actually that's usually the main culprit for those things for powerlifters. And the way I fix it is switch from doing low bar squatting to some other format of squatting. So typically what I do if I notice like a flare up, if I'm not prepping for a meet, if I'm prepping for a meet, I'm a little bit stuck because I got to practice low bar squatting because that's what I do during a meet. But like right now, I'm not in meet prep yet. I had some biceps tendonitis flare up like a couple weeks ago. So I'm doing all my squats with the Mars bar. Have you guys ever tried the Mars bar?
No.
Only
like,
the candy kind.
It's you guys familiar with like a safety squat bar?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So like a safety squat bar is like a bar. It sits kind of high on your back and it's got these handles in the front so you can hold it like this in case anyone's listening and doesn't know what it is. So a Mars bar is like a safety squat bar, but a safety squat bar sits on your back like a high bar squat. The Mars bar kind of wraps down like a backpack, so it sits like a low bar. So the movement pattern is very similar to a low bar squat, but you get to hold like handles out in front of you instead of having your hands back in that position. So I switched from low bar squat to a Mars bar squat, and then I just avoid any movements that cause pain. So like hammer curls, heavy hammer curls tend to cause it to be painful. some like rowing motions. So instead of those, I just do like regular curls, or I do overhand row. So I just avoid things that hurt, and then it inevitably will go away. But that's basically the only like injury I've really ever struggled with, besides like, like tearing the skin off my hand deadlifting, or like
I saw that. I saw your post today with that big old gash out of your hand.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the CrossFit days when I would like miss half of my hand doing something stupid.
Kipping pull-ups.
Yeah. That was the one that was the great thing about the CrossFit gym that I went to. The only one that they had is you had to test to do any kind of like kipped movement. So you had to be able to test out, like, so like you had to be able to do 10 pull-ups before you're like strict pull-ups before you're allowed to do any kip, which I always thought was a very good.
Yeah,
a lot of people would never do it.
no one did. Like hardly anybody did like kipping pull-ups at our gym because of that. But cool. Yeah, it was the one good thing I'll say about my CrossFit gym. Well, and they also had a good community, but we're getting off topic. What is your favorite? So we've talked a little bit about recovery and kind of danced around it. What's your favorite way? How do you approach recovering and relaxing when you're not in sport?
Yeah, so the biggest things for me are like diet. I make sure that I'm meeting the macros my coach prescribes me, especially protein. I'm eating enough fruits and vegetables. I'm getting enough water, getting enough like sodium and other like minerals and that sort of thing. And then for me, the big thing is like stress, like minimizing stress in my life. I, have not a high stress job, but I'm a consultant. So the client wants it to be a high stress job, and my job is to de-escalate it. So like, making sure doing what I can so that doesn't impact my mental health or my stress. My partner is physically disabled, so like she needs help and that sort of thing. And, making sure that I'm helping her when I can, but if, I need me time, or I need to like, if I need help, to voice that and be like, hey, I need help. Let's get someone else in here to help us out. Or like, we have multiple animals, making sure I'm not getting stressed out about like vet bills or whatever it is. Like most of it's managing stress, and it's whatever I can do to minimize, like it's like stress is normal. Stress is part of life. It happens. Right. But not letting it get to me or like keep me up at night. Like if a vet bill happens and it freaks me out, okay, like let's freak out about this for a minute and then let's pay it and move on, because it's not worth like stressing about it all night, compromising my sleep tonight, and then waking up tomorrow feeling like shit when I gotta go train.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. So did you have something, Cody?
I was just thinking about, because when you talk about recovery, I was thinking about routine. Like, are you like a rigid routine person? Because like I am personally, like I've been like that for a long time. So I'm just curious if that is something that you also, like your personality kind of is like, or yeah.
Yeah, I used to be. Super. I still am type A, but when it comes to like my day, I'm not as much anymore. When I started taking testosterone, I stopped caring as much. And now my day is completely different than it was. I used to like wake up before the sun and get my training done, work, and then like have like very, rigid what I would do in the evening. I'm not like that at all anymore. I usually like wake up, I work from home. So I wake up, just like kind of get out of bed, get my coffee and start working. And then whenever work is done is usually when I hit the gym, and that could be anywhere from like 4 to 7 p.m. And I just kind of like do whatever, whatever my coach prescribes me, I just do, and I don't really worry about it. And then I don't really have any like set things that I do in the evening besides walk my dog. So I'm not super rigid with my schedule anymore at all.
Nice. Still sounds like probably a more predictable routine than the average person, though, at least, because you kind of have like your morning, and then when you're done with work, you go to the gym, or you follow your coach's orders and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, sure.
That has to be the best. That's the best thing about having a coach is like you just don't have to worry about it. I hated like having to figure out what I was gonna do at the gym, and I'm like, now I just get to open the app.
Yeah, you guys have coaches too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I do. I'm his coach.
Okay.
He worries all about all my shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, it's definitely the way to go. And like, oh my God, is there any better day than the day you open up like a new training plan and you get like new exercises and rep ranges?
awesome.
It's the best. It's so exciting. And it's funny because I'm a power lifter, so it's always going to be the squat, bench, and deadlift, but I'm still just as excited how many reps and sets I'm going to do.
Well, that's like, it's kind of like bodybuilding. I mean, there's not that many exercises, especially when you're all trying to just build muscle, right? So there's ones that give you bang for the buck, and then there's ones that people do on Instagram to get likes, it's like and it's like so it's like it's not ever anything like super exciting really, but it's so exciting to you. And I'm like, I'm on a new split just in June, and I'm like, this is fucking fantastic. I love it.
Like, I feel bigger. I'm pretty sure I'm bigger, like just because.
And I'm like losing calories. He's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, new splits are even better than just a new plan. I was doing like upper lower split spread out throughout the week, and now I just switched to like full body like 4 days a week. Yeah, oh my God, I love it. It's great. It's great not doing 2 hours of legs. I didn't realize
That's a lot of legs.
I wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of legs.
I still the only one workout that's made me throw up since CrossFit is arm day for some weird reason.
Arm day.
I know, I agree, but it happened. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was something I ate. I don't.
Did you even tell me that? I feel like you threw up on leg day or something.
It was arm day.
Wow.
I know.
That's intense.
Leg day never like hits me like that. Usually it's always upper body, but I've always had better legs than I have had upper body. So I don't know if it's related. Yeah. I have some lightning round questions. Did you have any other big ones, Cody?
Not currently.
Well, we can always go back. All right. So here's some lightning round ones.
Right.
What is your favorite pump up music? When you know you need to hit like a good heavy something, what are you putting on?
From Autumn to Ashes.
Okay. Some heavy stuff, huh?
Yeah. Did you guys listen to From Autumn to Ashes?
I have before. I listen to like heavy stuff sometimes.
Yeah. I love that, like the screamo, like the metal punk, like anything like that I'll put on. Like the less I can hear my thoughts, the better. Just like I need a human directly screaming into my ears. Drown it all out.
I feel like that's like a prerequisite to be a powerlifter. Like you have to listen to metal. Like if you don't listen to metal, nah, you should stick with like bodybuilding or like dancing or some shit.
Go get your tan on. Yeah. All right. What do you have a role model or a hero that you looked up to either as a kid or right now?
Right now I really like Travis Rogers. Like the dude is just like such a nice guy, and he's strong as fuck. Like he is 2 inches taller than me, and the dude is like 200 pounds. Like his shoulders are like this big. I actually have a picture of me and him on Instagram, and he looks like next to him I look like a scrawny like I don't need like lanky string bean. He's just like this dense boulder of a human, and he's the fucking nicest guy. Like such a cool guy. Yeah, he's definitely someone I look up to now. As a kid, I looked up to professional basketball players. I had a couple like WNBA players that I looked up to. I really wanted to play basketball, but I was only 5
too, man. But
I did too. But Cody and I found out like the sport that like short men thrive at. Like, so this is kind of an offshoot. But my girlfriend Maddie and I went to the Arnold this year, and I was like going like fanboying over all these bodybuilders, and she's like, why am I the tallest person here? She's like 5'10", and I'm like, this is the sport for Napoleons. I don't know what we expect. We can't get taller, so we just get wider.
Yes.
Exactly.
Powerlifting's the same way, because like if someone in my weight class is like 5'9", I can put on a lot more muscle mass than they can and be in the same weight class, right? So short kings be powerlifters and bodybuilders. It's gonna work for you.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. What is your favorite food?
Oh, that one's really hard. I'm gonna go with a steak, some sort of steak. Let's go with top sirloin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a mantra that you do when like you're trying? I know you said you do cues when you're in trying to get a PR, but do you have a favorite mantra that you use when times get hard?
I don't really have a mantra. I mostly just try to focus on my cues. I do like say something along the lines of like trust the process and stuff like that. I'll do that like just in my day-to-day. So that's a mantra.
Yeah, nice. Let's see. Do you have a book that you recommend or your favorite book that you read?
Oh, like powerlifting related?
It doesn't have to be.
Or anything, yeah.
These are just fast questions that I'm like, this is gonna be fun.
Starting strength is really good if you're just trying to get into powerlifting. Like if it's just like the bare bones, what basically 90% of powerlifters start with when they start powerlifting. I don't know. I used to read so much and now I don't read that much anymore. I don't know if I even have a favorite anymore. I used to really love Ken Follett. Do you guys ever read Ken Follett?
No.
Is that a sci-fi?
He does like historical fiction, which is usually not my jam, but he is like such a good writer. Nice. I've read every book by him, so highly recommend him. He's like the people who tend to love him are like middle-aged dads. If that's
that's my vibe.
But it's really great. All his stuff is amazing.
Cool. Let's see. Well, because I'm a dog person, what are your animals?
I have a black lab bloodhound named Pi, and then I have a ragdoll cat. His name is Charcoal.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cody was just telling me about a puppy he met, and I told him I wanted him to steal it. So I'm a very big dog person.
Yes, except for this puppy in particular was like $5,000. So I'm pretty sure I'd be arrested if I stole it. It was an English bulldog. So those things are so expensive. So I can only just pet and like enjoy from a distance.
I feel like a dog that expensive, like it should cost money to pet it, right?
That's how they recoup their finances.
Seriously.
All right, and then what's your favorite hobby outside of powerlifting?
I love walking, like hiking, walking. I'll put on like a podcast and just like walk my dog for like hours.
Hell yeah. Love that. Walking is the most underrated exercise out there.
It truly is. It is like the only cardio I do, but I do plenty of it. So I'm happy with it.
Hell
yeah.
For sure. It's good. And people like if you assign people steps or whatever, they're always like, should I be doing cardio? I'm like, that is cardio. Do your steps. Like hit that 10,000 and don't ask me until you do.
They're always gonna ask you even if they aren't hitting their steps.
I know.
All right. That's all the questions I had. You got anything else, Cody? We want to be respectful of your time, so we
yeah, sorry if you like need to go.
No, I have nothing going on, so I'm happy to chat, but also happy to wrap up if you guys are done. So
I have kind of an off the wall question.
Let's do it. Yeah,
completely off topic, but okay. So we talked before we started recording, but you said you're from Petaluma, now you're in Richmond.
Yep.
And then you said it was very queer, and that like shocks the living hell out of me because I've been to Richmond before. My brother used to live there and he went to Liberty University. And so that is my experience, like extremely religious school and church and stuff like that. So I have not even seen the queer aspect of it. So I was like really shocked when you said that. So is it even more so than Petaluma, like more open and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say for sure. I mean, I've only been to my hometown a few times since we moved away when I was very like 10 or something, somewhere around that age. And like my grandma still lives there, so I go back and visit her periodically. But my fiance and I are polyamorous, and when I go, I have always got, you know, the Tinder. When I'm swiping, it's like a lot of cis, straight, like heteronormative people. I mean, Richmond is one of the queerest places I've ever lived, and I've lived in
That's
like
so crazy.
Petaluma, St. Louis, yeah, Northern Virginia, Blacksburg, but Blacksburg is like very, very small. Blacksburg, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah, that's where I went to school.
I got my master's there.
Oh, hell yeah, that's sick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good school. But yeah, Richmond's super queer, really, really queer. When I moved here, like I was still, like I said, I just had started passing, but like no one misgendered me, or they would at least ask my pronouns. Whereas in St. Louis, there was none of that. It was just, you know, she, her, or it, or, you know, whatever they would come up with. So yeah, it was not a thing that I was trans or like obviously transitioning. It was like just totally normal. And, you know, on the Tinders, there were all kinds of queers and trans folk. And it was really
awesome.
Great to move here and have that.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still in disbelief, but that's awesome.
maybe it's been a bit. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, well,
it actually has.
Yeah, because I know like it was like Columbus has changed so much since like I've came out and stuff. Like I don't know, it's just so different than it used to be. Because I grew up here and then I moved to Texas and then I came back and it was like crazy different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I definitely wouldn't go to Liberty University.
It's like
that probably hasn't changed.
Yo, like my brother's commencement speaker was Chuck Norris. Like it was
What?
yes. It was wild.
It's crazy. Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's so random. All right. Cool. Cool though. Do you have anything else that you wish we would have covered, Elliot, or anything else that you think our viewers would like to hear about?
I don't think so. Powerlifting is cool and you guys should all do it.
Hell yeah.
All the cool kids are doing it, and it's not that hard. You just have to do 3 lifts. So make fun. It's way less lifts than bodybuilding. So
that's true. That's true.
Yes.
Cool. And you can get the physique you want. It's all just resistance training.
If you like powerlifters physique, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
plus,
thank
like,
you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like a lot of people kind of like cross over and do both. You know, like eventually maybe powerlifters will do bodybuilding or vice versa. So it's pretty like, I feel like similar in a lot of ways, but then different in preparation and everyday kind of workouts.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Well, that's what I don't know if you've been following him, Cody, but like Joe Sullivan's girlfriend was like a top power lifter and just competed in her first with Goob, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, isn't Goob,
and she just killed it. And
it's like Brianna
something like that. Yeah. And they're talking about her going pro maybe in bodybuilding. Pretty dope.
I could see
that's
that.
wild.
At her first meet. That's crazy.
So sick. That's really
It's
cool.
just, it shows how much like it just carries over even if you're working powerlifting, like you're gonna build muscle and like those are like your foundation lifts. So even if that's where you start, you'll probably be way ahead in bodybuilding if you do decide to like cross over or whatever. So not surprised with that.
Not at all. I mean, it's y'all are strong as fuck. I mean,
yeah. Sure.
So like, I don't know. It's dope though. I really like it. So I love following powerlifters because they also like, they're always so much stronger than I am, but I'm like, it's so cool. I don't know, but it's just different.
The top powerlifters are so like in my weight class, like the dudes that are like 145 pounds who are deadlifting like 700 fucking pounds. It's like,
Crazy.
how is that even possible? Like, they go up there and they look just like you would see them on the street and be like, who's this small guy? And then he's like picking up 700 pounds. And it's like, what the fuck? It's so cool. It's so cool.
The ultimate Mighty Mouse.
Right? Yeah. One of the coolest sports because you cannot judge a book by its cover. Like you see this tiny ass lady come in and lift more than you've ever lifted in your life. And you're like, I'm never judging anyone ever again. Or you have this like giant gorilla come in and pick up like a car. Like, it's like, how is that even possible? It's so cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah. It's super sick.
Sweet. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day, your busy schedule, to give us some talk and educate us all on powerlifting. And it was really good talking to you. Really good meeting with you. Cool. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was really awesome talking to you.
Appreciate it.
You are our first guest and
Our first guest.
Oh, what? No way. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I know it was kind of like random, but really
awesome.
appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah.
Cool.
Really.
All right. And then we always end our thing with a power talk. So it's just kind of like a motivational quote or talk to take our listeners out on their day. So Cody's got it for us today.
Yes.
What you got for us, Cody?
So I always tend to use the same person. So
Cody's favorite, his man crush.
Yeah. So I'm like obsessed with James Clear, Atomic Habits, his book. So if you're looking for something to read, you probably don't need that one, but it's great. Just kind of teaches you how to like create good habits or stick to habits or build systems. But I think you already got that down. But if you're ever curious, this is where this quote is coming from. So the quote is, nearly everything awesome takes longer than you think. Get started and don't worry about the clock. So I chose that obviously because I feel like a lot of people get caught up in how much time something's going to take, and then they don't even start because it's like, oh, that will take me way too long. Fuck it, I'm not going to do that. But it's kind of like, also you mentioned at some point in the podcast where you have to like focus on the day to day, because if you focus just on the goal, then like it just seems so far away or it seems unachievable. And it's like every little thing, the day-to-day task is part of the process that's going to get you there, and time is going to pass anyways, so you might as well do something instead of be looking back like, oh wow, I like really haven't gone anywhere. I wonder what it would have been like if I would have started when I wanted to or thought it was going to take too long. So it's kind of one of those things where you just have to accept the fact that anything worth working hard for is going to take time. There is no shortcut, there is no way around it, and accept it, and you'll get there faster if you just accept it and like start doing the day-to-day progress to get there. So yeah.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good one. I like it. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Now for the awkward sign off. Like, how are we going to do this? But
all right.
Yeah, I guess,
Adios to all the labbers. Peace.
Peace out.